The atomic bombing of Hiroshima, which occurred almost 80 years ago, had consequences that persist to this day, in addition to the serious damage caused to the local population. On August 6, 1945, an American bomber named Enola Gay flew over Japan. The target was the city of Hiroshima, where the aircraft dropped an atomic bomb at 8:15 a.m., as reported by the Bradbury Science Museum, the official public museum of the Los Alamos National Laboratory in the United States. The atomic bomb, known by the detonation code Little Boy, was made of uranium and weighed about 4,400 kilograms. It exploded approximately 600 meters above the ground, with a force equivalent to 15,000 tons of trinitrotoluene TNT, causing devastating effects. As an immediate consequence, the bomb destroyed 8 square kilometers of the city, according to the museum. In addition, approximately 70% of the buildings were destroyed and burned, according to information from the International Campaign to Abolish Nuclear Weapons, ICAN, a coalition of non-governmental organizations from 100 countries that promotes the adherence to and implementation of the United Nations Treaty on the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons. The explosion resulted in thousands of lives being affected. An estimated 140,000 people died in Hiroshima due to the bombing. Thousands of survivors suffered from burns, injuries, and the effects of radiation exposure, as reported by ICAN and an article on the subject in the Encyclopedia Britannica. With the city in ruins, the survivors were unable to receive adequate medical care. According to the International Coalition, 90% of medical and nursing professionals were killed or injured, and 42 of the 45 hospitals were inoperative. In addition, the incidence of leukemia and other types of cancer, such as thyroid, breast, and lung, increased after the bombing. The atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima on August 6 and Nagasaki on August 9, 1945, marked the true end of World War II, as argued by historian Mario Marcello Neto, who holds a Ph.D. in history from the Federal University of Rio Grande do Sul, UFRGS, in a National Geographic article published in 2022. Although the war officially ended in Europe on May 8, 1945, the day after Germany signed its surrender, the conflict continued in Asia. However, on August 10, 1945, the day after the bombing of Nagasaki, the Japanese government issued a declaration pledging to accept the Allied surrender conditions set out in the Potsdam Declaration, an ultimatum issued by the United States, Great Britain, and China on July 26, 1945, calling for Japan's unconditional surrender in World War II. The Japanese realized 3 things. These bombs were not unique, and the United States could use them as many times as it wanted. They also realized that Tokyo was in real danger of total destruction and ultimately saw that there was no other way to win the war, Neto told Nat Geo. The dropping of the 2 atomic bombs also became an important precedent for the development of the Cold War and the proliferation of nuclear weapons around the world, as reported by Britannica. In the Cold War, the 2 post-World War II superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union, began to claim political, economic, and nuclear superiority in the world. More than 75 years after the atomic bombs were dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the United Nations warned that, although the effects of these bombs persist to this day, the world has not only failed to rid itself of these weapons, but has actually increased its arsenal.